It's very clear when you look at the evidence, which I go into in the trigger in great detail, that the planes that took off from the airports were not the planes that ended up where they did. So they were landed somewhere. And if you look at, you just find this in the trigger, actually. There's a guy called James Bamford who wrote a book which came out in the summer of 2001, actually. It was called Body of Secrets. And he is a former investigative producer with, I think it's ABC. And he uncovered something called Operation Northwoods, which was a plan in the 1960s, at the time of the Kennedy presidency, by the Pentagon. These lunatics, this would have been the cult again, which owns the Pentagon. And he uncovered this Operation Northwoods in the archive, in the official archive, which was a plan which Kennedy put a stop to, it seems, to basically do what happened on 9/11. So this is what James Bamford wrote. The plan, which had the written approval of the chairman and every member of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, called for innocent people to be shot on American streets, for boats carrying refugees fleeing Cuba to be sunk on the high seas, and a wave of violent terrorism to be launched in Washington, D.C., Miami, and elsewhere. People would be framed for bombings they did not commit. Planes would be hijacked using phony evidence. All of it would be blamed on Castro, thus giving Lemnitzer, the guy, the head of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and his cabal the excuse, as well as the public and international backing they needed to launch their war. Now, that is exactly what happened on 9/11, and it was planned in the 1960s by the Pentagon. But this is the point in terms of the planes and what happened to them.
And let me just also throw in case you're not going to, that it was John F. Kennedy who said no to Operation Northwoods, one of many reasons why he was taken out.
Yeah, absolutely. And so this is a quote from the document. An aircraft at Elgin Air Force Base would be painted and numbered. I'm describing 9/11 here. As an exact duplicate for a civil registered aircraft belonging to a CIA proprietary organization in the Miami area. At a designated time, the duplicate would be substituted for the actual civil aircraft and would be loaded with selected passengers, all boarded under carefully prepared aliases. Note how light the passenger numbers were on all of those planes on 9/11. The actual registered aircraft would be converted into a remote-controlled drone. Takeoff times of the drone aircraft and the actual aircraft will be scheduled to allow a rendezvous south of Florida. From the rendezvous point, the passenger-carrying aircraft will descend to minimum altitude and go directly to an auxiliary field at Elgin Air Force Base, where arrangements will have been made to evacuate the passengers and return the aircraft to its original status. The drone aircraft, which took its place in the same colors, meanwhile, would continue to fly the filed flight plan. When over Cuba, the drone will be transmitting on the international distress frequency a Mayday message stating he is under attack by Cuban MiG aircraft. The transmission will be interrupted by destruction of the aircraft, which will be triggered by radio signal. This will allow International Civil Aviation Organization radio stations in the Western Hemisphere to tell the US what has happened to the aircraft instead of the US trying to sell the incident. So this is the mentality. When people say they would never do that, that was planned to happen. So the question is, what happened to the passengers? Well, they're talking there about, taking them off the plane, but are they going to let the passengers live? No. Not a chance, because of the consequences for exposure that would come from that. So they would have taken them out.